All right, so while we wait for our beta-gal to purify off the anion exchange, I'm going to start making our SES page gels. So first I'm going to start by taking 4.2 mLs of water and adding it to my resolving beaker. All right, so there's 4.2. Next, I'm going to add 2.5 mLs of resolution buffer, or resolving buffer. So this buffer will make it so that our resolving gel will be able to actually resolve our proteins. So one thing to note about the resolving and stacking buffer is they're actually very similar. The main difference between the two is the pH. So now that I've added the resolving buffer, next I'm going to add the stacking buffer in the stacking beaker. So for that one, I'm going to add about 4.5 mLs of stacking buffer. All right, so that's 4.5. So like I said, both the stacking and the resolving buffer, they're actually the same buffer, just with different pHs. The stacking has a pH of about 6.8, while the resolving has a pH of about 8.8. And this has to, the reason we want this pH is so that we can have that, I guess, really affect that isoelectric point of glycine. So now that I've added the stacking buffer and the resolving buffer, the next thing I want to do is add acrylamide. So this acrylamide is what's going to do the actual reaction. So this is a 40% acrylamide solution. And into the stacking, or into the resolving, I'm sorry, I'm going to add about 2.6. All right, so that's 2.6 mLs of acrylamide into the resolving beaker. And then for the stacking, I'm going to add 500 microliters. So because there's less of this acrylamide in the stacking layer, this is what makes it so that our proteins kind of move faster through the stacking. Alrighty. So now the last thing I need to add is a chemical called ammonium persulfate, or APS. So the APS is what's going to react with the acrylamide and form the actual gel. So let me just get this out of the way. So because the APS is what actually reacts with the acrylamide and causes the reaction, we want to make sure that we add it last. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get about 100 microliters of acrylamide and first add it to the resolving gel so that I can add it into the glass plates. So this here is the actual APS chemical. And what I'm just going to do is I'm going to take 100 microliters and only add it to the resolving gel, or the resolving beaker. So the moment you add the resolving, or the APS, you need to move a little quickly. So I'm just going to get a plastic pipette, mix the buffer a little bit, and then quickly dispense it into the glass plates until the liquid is just slightly below the little green part of the, I guess, holder. So right about there. I'm going to do this for both glass plates. Oops. All right. And then the next thing I'm going to add is a bit of saturated butanol. You can tell that it's saturated because you can see that there's two different layers, with the top layer actually being the butanol and the bottom layer being the water. So with another plastic pipette, I'm going to take some of that top layer and quickly put it on top of the gel. This will make it so that our resolving layer is completely flat with no little weird edges, so that when the proteins hit the resolving layer, they all go in at the exact same time with no weird moments where one part of the gel is slightly taller than the other. So now while we wait, or for now all we have to do is just wait for the gel to set. It should take a couple of minutes. Alrighty, so I think now our gels have been set. One way to find out is by taking it out, and you can see nothing flows out. If you look at the gel, I don't know if you can see it on camera, I think probably not. But there's actually there's a very distinct layer. Yeah, it looks like you can't really tell on camera. But another way to tell if the gel is set completely is actually by pushing on the glass. If you push on the glass and it's still liquid, then you should see the liquid kind of pop up from the top of it. But here we can kind of see that if I push it, the liquid kind of stays put. So I'm pretty sure the gel is set. So what I need to do now is remove the excess butanol so that I can add the stacking layer. All right, so I've emptied out the butanol and washed it with water. The last thing I need to do is now add APS to my stacking layer so that I can put it on top of the gel. So I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm going to take 100 microliters of APS, add it to my stacking layer, give it a little swirl to kind of mix it, and then take a plastic pipetter and just quickly fill the top of the gel. Just make sure it goes all the way to the top. And then I'm going to place these 15 well combs onto the top so that we can form the wells of our gel. So again, we're just going to let that sit for 5 to 10 minutes just so that the gel completely sets. But once that's done, we should be ready to actually analyze the purification from the anion exchange and see if we were able to purify beta-gal.